So we are looking for the critical values of for confidence interval, and they're telling us it's the t distribution. A population means another flag that'll tell me I'm using a t distribution. So we've got a, why do they tell me this? Well, I have to have there's two conditions I need to have in order to have the central limit theorem hold for means. I either have to have a parent population that's normal, which this one has, or my sample size has to be 30 or more. We've only got a sample size of 6. So, but because we've got that normal distribution for the parent distribution, we're okay to go with that small sample size. So how do we get the critical value of t? Well, what we're going to do is think about this as make a little sketch. You know, I always like sketches. So we get, that's kind of a normal distribution, and the mean is 0, and we're looking for what t-score cuts off that middle 80%. So 80% in the middle. If there's 80% in the middle, there's 20% outside that, which means there's 10% down here and 10% up here. Now, we don't need this for that table, but we will when I show you how to use a calculator. So, the degrees of freedom we need to worry about. So the degrees of freedom is usually abbreviated DF, and it's n minus 1. You take your sample size minus 1, so 6 minus 1 is 5. So I've got 5 degrees of freedom. I've got an 80% confidence interval. Let me go to this. So I'm looking at that t-score table. I go down to the 5 degrees of freedom. I go over to my 80% confidence interval column, and I come down to that number, and that's the critical value of t, either side of 0, that will cut off the middle 80%. So that number there would be negative 1.476, and that number would be positive 1.476. Okay, so the table's pretty easy to use. Some of you have a graphing calculator, and I wanted to show you how to do it with a graphing calculator. So you see that vars, the vars button and the distribution, just like we did normal CDF. You can do second, vars, and we want inverse t. Now the 83 won't have this, but the 84 and up does. So I'm type of choice 4. And then what the syntax is looking for is looking for the area to the left. So the area to the left is 10%. That's what's outside to the outside on the left, on the bottom. So I'm going to type in 0.1. And then it's asking me for the degrees of freedom. Well, the degrees of freedom is 5. And it's telling me negative 1.76. Well, let's see how that compares to the table. The table said 1.476. So 5, and the 8 rounds it to 6. So, and plus or minus, right? On the way my open math was asking you that, it had plus or minus. So it's just looking for the t-score. So I hope that helps you answer this question.